people are the ones to do it. You're telling them you're putting money into an illegality pronounced in courts. They will not do it because they are risking their own money. How does a government function?
Jimmy.
This is something in our hands. It is not in their hands. Those things you're talking about are in that fraud-based government's hands.
Is there realization that it's actually...
So hold on. People? So if it tells you, for example, today, right? When that ruling comes out for sure, it is going to say, for example, that we go to the revenue-raising measures of 2022. Just to give you a simple example.
Yeah.
One of those is VAT on petroleum products.
8%.
So we go from 16 to 8%.
Yeah.
Why would you pay 16? Who's going to keep 16? How long will you keep it?
Well,
you will not pay.
So here's the reality.
So what you're going
People
to get...
paid.
No. Just hold on.
Until the Supreme Court
Once there is a ruling, no, they can say it was still...
Until the Supreme Court stayed that decision of the Court of Appeal, people paid 16%.
Are you trying to... They can say they were still in court and they had tried to apply for the stay. So until then, they were not going to change their direction. Even now, many of us questioned how the Supreme Court has capacity to stay the Constitution. But we say, fine, let them stay the Court of Appeal because they have no capacity to stay the Constitution of Kenya. But maybe they are staying a ruling of the Court of Appeal. But the eventuality is that you must obey the Constitution. Now, if the government keeps 16%, you are calling for civil disobedience. I will not pay at the pump. Many people will not pay at the pump. They will say, on what basis is it collecting? You are talking about upheavals here you cannot control. They are not the monopoly of anarchy. They cannot shove that in our faces. So please, Eric, do not underestimate the capacity of an enlightened public. And we are enlightened. Kenyans are very enlightened. And you're going to see this government come to a screeching halt because they did not obey the constitution of this country. All right? They are already, as we are talking today, even without all that, CT, before you go on, even without all that, let me tell you, there are some facts here you cannot ignore. We are currently in a structural adjustment program brought by the IMF that does only one thing, cause us severe pain. It is taxation, it is austerity, it is no growth, no subsidy, no support systems. 2, we're in a situation of debt distress. 72% of everything we produce in this country is going to debt. Almost now, I believe 80% of our taxation is going to that one item called debt. You cannot provide the most simple of services.
Welcome back to Moral TV. So the video you have just seen there is of Jimmy WANJIGI while he was at Spice FM this morning, and he has come out to expose some of the fearless things or things which most people fail or fear to talk about. As you know, last time he was arrested after he claimed that he sponsored the agency with flags and bails while they were being arrested for fighting for good governance. So Mr. WANJIGI talked about several things, but the first one which I'm going to start with is the capacity of enlightened public. That means that when a public is enlightened, then the government is in fear, and exactly that's what is happening with Ruto's government right now. Most Kenyans are very bright, educated, and they know what they want, and they can even fight bad governance. For example, what happened with the finance bill. Kenya really rose very hard. They decided to go very hard on it, and when they went hard on it, boom, the finance bill was put down and the president conceded. This is because of the persistency and even a lot of things which happened on that day. So that's the first thing which Mr. WANJIGI talked about. The second thing is about putting money on illegality. It means that there are some shady deals or some things which are happening in the government which are being exposed slowly by slowly, and that means that indeed a lot is happening, and there is a lot of clauses which are happening where money is taken to other places that we can't really explain or talk about. That's the other thing. So, for example, we went ahead to say that the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal are being used as tools which are supposed to protect the Constitution. Right now, he talked about the VAT on petroleum, which was 16%, being reduced to 8%. When he talked about that thing is still in court and there's a lot is happening. And he said that the court should be somewhere where it should be that they are used to uphold respect for the Constitution. When somebody doesn't respect the Constitution, is taken to court and charged. He mentioned the two biggest court in Kenya, the Court of Appeal, which has been used to appeal a lot of rulings and a lot of things which have happened in Parliament. So the court must be respected, and even he never really talked much about the Supreme Court, but he talked about the Court of Appeal, which is now used. Before things get to the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal has been very key in Kenya at the moment. You want to say that already now Kenya is in debt distress, and there is a structural adjustment program from IMF where there is a plan to really super tax Kenyans. And when that is being talked about, we see that it might be a joke, but that's the reality. There is a very big structural adjustment which is going on in Kenya. We are seeing now there is scarcity of money, there is problem roaming around. They are coming up with plans of super taxation of people, and that's really being felt right now. The other day, the Kenyans wrote letters and really demanded that the IMF should stop meddling with Kenyan affairs, and now feel like indeed these big governing and multinationals are really messing with our economy, and we as Kenyans need to wake up and really tell them no, get out of our country. That's all for today. Make sure you stay tuned for the next video.